All right. I'm Scott Russ, one of the pastors at Epiphany, and this is a series called Living Through the Pandemic. And I've got one of our church members here, Judy, and a church member from North Star, Greg, with me to talk about the care center that is fairly brand new to Loveland and opened up during the pandemic, I believe. Is that correct?
We did, yes, that we did.
Okay, yeah, that's something. That's something. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Care Center is an initiative here in the local community that's all about helping people remove barriers and build resources to be able to thrive in life. And so we know that's three big buckets of work as we've identified them. That's helping people get back to work for one, building the basic life skills that we know everybody needs to be successful, and helping people get unstuck in life through one-on-one mentoring and coaching relationships. And so we love doing that in partnership with other organizations. One of our biggest challenges is we've just not had the space to be able to do that. So, Scott, as you mentioned, over the course of the last year, we've actually been building a new 6,000 square foot facility on the campus of North Star Church. Although we are definitely a multi-church, multi-organizational effort, but excited to have the opportunity to have some space on the North Star property to be able to build that facility so we can invite even more partners in to that work who are especially going to provide care for the whole person, whether that be about somebody's physical health, their emotional health, their educational health, their relational health, or their spiritual health. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're all about. And as you mentioned, we just opened that new facility in November. So it was exciting and scary and crazy and all those things thrown together, doing this in the midst of a pandemic. But we're excited, especially because we have such a focus on helping people get back to work, to now have all those resources open and available for people who are trying to do exactly that. It's kind of like current day and age. So that's a little bit about us.
All right, great, great. And this isn't. I want to emphasize it's not just a North Star thing, but you guys have been really intentional about making it a community effort.
Yeah, we are in 501c3, so we have been in the Ministry of North Star for the past several years, but became our own 501c3 this last year, and really do rely on other people to be engaged beyond the North Star community. We'd love to be a hub for people to serve locally, in just reaching out to people that are under-resourced in our own community, which has actually been a growing number over the last 10 years. The number of kids specifically who are on free and reduced lunch in the Loveland community has grown 100%. That same story is happening in Milford. Goshen hasn't grown 100%, but over 50% of the kids there are on free and reduced lunch. And so it's just going to take all of us working together to help people get to the next place in life, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Judy, you go here to Epiphany, and you've been volunteering, and you had a couple stories. Why don't you share one of those with us?
Oh, yes. I've started working again in person over at North Star just a couple times. Although in the past I've served in a couple different mission capacities. But through COVID, I had kind of stepped back from that. But now I'm involved with them, and they're getting to know you. Interviews with the participants in their care center. And I've only had a chance to actually interview a couple of them. First of all, I want to say I felt very comfortable doing that because there's distancing and masks and lots of hand sanitizer. So I didn't feel compromised at all. But the two people that I did talk with honestly just seemed to be very happy to just have some personal contact, especially one of the ladies I talked to. She needed some financial assistance and a couple other things. And the gentleman I spoke with needs to get a job. But both of them, especially the lady, seemed to really need mostly just someone to talk to and listen to and to pray with her. She seemed very grateful for that. But what was great is at North Star, I was also able, with Greg's help, to give them some resources that would probably help both of them with what they actually needed physically or financially or whatever as well. But just being able to touch them personally was very beneficial for me, actually.
Okay, good. And overall, I mean, like, give us an eagle eye view of what you're observing, Greg, with people that have already been participating with the care center.
Yeah, I think obviously the last several months has been like unsettling to everybody, and I think Judy, I so appreciate you mentioning that because at the core of who we are, we want to be about relationship. We realize like the importance of that and just helping somebody move ahead in life for sure is so critically important. We provide those little pieces of relief because we know they'll lead to relationships that will produce real life change for people as well. So we just see the growing need to meet people where they're at because if anything, things are obviously continuing to evolve, especially on the employment side. More and more people are, obviously lost their job over the course of the last 9 months. And just that need to help provide people with resources, as well as just some encouragement. I think we all need somebody in our corner to help people get to the next place in life. And so that's one of the things that we just see as critically important, both now, but even more so in the future, is people are just trying to get to a better place, whether that's back to work or whatever that looks like for them. It's just critically important that we have resources and we have people resources to be able to do that.
Okay, and either one of you can answer this, but I mean, how can other people get involved, like in volunteering? What are different ways that they can volunteer, like what Judy's doing?
Yeah, Judy, did you want to?
I'll start. Yeah, I mean, you have a better idea of what's needed than I do, Greg. But I have talked to Greg about that, and they need all types of assistance. The one I'm working on, the getting to know you interviews with the participants, they need to get their background and what they need. They need their statistics and that type of thing for their program and for the things that they want to do in the future, meaning North Star. But there's lots of ways to volunteer. They're opening up a clothing center to help people with have the right clothing for interviews and that type of thing. They have all types of programs. I know our members have been involved in the GED and they have financial coaching. For a year, I was a mentor in their Spark program with a one-on-one with one of their participants. But there's just a number of ways that they need assistance. And Greg, maybe you can expand on that a bit.
Yeah, that's a great summary, actually. There's kind of three core areas that Judy was really touching on. That get to know you meeting is critical for us in starting a life development conversation with guests who are coming to the care center. And so anybody who's been involved in Stephen ministry, this would be a perfect sweet spot for them to be able to connect into. We're really doing some of the same kind of work there. It's just called something a little bit different with respect to that. So that's a core area. As Judy mentioned, we are launching work-ready clothing and haircuts to help remove some of the barriers that people might encounter to getting back to work. So whether that's helping sort clothes or cut hair or just provide encouragement through that, that's a great opportunity, as well as our one-on-one mentoring and coaching relationships. We're actually forming a new partnership with the Eve Center. And so the opportunity to be a peer counselor there is a great opportunity, in addition to just all of life or financial or job coaching are all ways to jump into a one-on-one relationship. And we would love to help people find their sweet spot in the midst of that. There are so many different ways that people can get connected. It can be a little overwhelming, but we know whether it's a one-time serve or it is a one-on-one relationship, it can last for a year or year over a year. There's an opportunity to jump in. So we would love to help people figure out their kind of the intersection of how much time do they have, what are their talents, and what are they passionate about. We call that, and you're serving sweet spot, and we have an opportunity on our website to actually complete a little survey that will spark a conversation to help people get connected as well. And that's carecenterinfo.com is our website. So yeah, there's lots of different ways people can plug in for sure. And we appreciate the opportunity, like I said, to engage in other churches and organizations in this work for sure as well. Because we know there's tons of different talents and passions and capacities out there to engage and work locally here.
Right. Okay. Well, great. That's awesome. And so, if I think one thing you mentioned was like, if we've got a lot of people at the church that work in professional jobs. I mean, if they wanted to donate clothes for people to be able to have clothes for job interviews and stuff like that, is that a possibility, or what do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Specifically work ready clothing. So clothing you would wear on an interview, basically business casual for both men and women, is definitely an opportunity to donate here at the Care Center for sure.
Okay, great, awesome. So what is like what's the traffic like right now? Is it heavy? Is there a lot of people, or are people kind of staying back because of the pandemic, or I mean, like, what is your greatest need right now?
Yeah, from a guest perspective, like we've seen that number grow actually pretty significantly. So we've grown about 20% over the last 9 months in the number of people coming. The makeup of that group of people is different than what, especially for our personal care distribution and home supplies, that the makeup of that group of people is a little bit different. We're seeing people we never would have seen like connect through that resource just in trying to stretch budget a little bit further. So yeah, probably kind of our two biggest needs are both like the people resource side, because we are so much about relationship. That's the core of who we are. We definitely need people to be involved in that relationship, especially in those one-on-one coaching and mentoring opportunities. And we also know for about every $1,200 that we receive through the Care Center, we're able to sponsor a family through the whole Care Center experience. That includes things like transportation, getting them connected to permanent transportation through a partner. But that's $25 a month, like helps basically provide personal care for a family that's in need as well. So both people and financial resources are probably the two biggest things that, as for any organization, are always a need right now, for sure.
Well, great. Well, this is awesome. I think, I mean, when you think of organizations like this, you think more like probably downtown Cincinnati, but for us to have something like this in Loveland, to care for our own people. And I think I speak for myself when I say that, when you think of Loveland, you think it's, like upper middle class, but there's actually pockets of Loveland that there's a lot of people that are hurting and suffering. And I think I discovered that through the Nest. That was a real eye opener for me when we would literally go into the neighborhoods that needed to help the most to help educate kids. And so this is great. This is great. Judy, if you could say anything to the Epiphany people, what would you want to say?
It's a very worthwhile organization. Everybody that I've connected with there over the last number of years that has received any type of help from the individuals that are working at the Care Center or any other type of help have been so appreciative. And one of the main things I've heard them say is that they are amazed that multi types of church organizations are participating in this, and they're just amazed that people just want to help them and aren't asking anything back. But the surprising thing is I go to their different activities, I see so many of the people that have been helped through the years volunteering there, and I'm assuming probably starting to go to church there as well. A lot of them I've heard say that they've gotten reconnected with God or connected completely to God in the first place by being part of the Care Center and one of the participants and care receivers at the Care Center. So it's just like I said earlier, it's a very worthwhile mission opportunity. And if anybody at Epiphany would like to discuss it with me, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great. And I think this is so awesome because I think I grew up where it's, that mentality of like, if we just help people spiritually, they'll fix all the other areas of their life. But that's not necessarily true. I think you meet people where they're at, and whether it's financial struggles or job struggles or whatever, that you kind of meet them where they're at. And through building relationships, you hope that they also grow spiritually through the experience. But we got to think of the whole person, not just the spiritual part. So I commend you for that. That's awesome. Well,
Thanks so much.
Yes. Is there any last words you want to say, Greg?
Yeah, just to stress again, like we so value partnership. We love partnering with other organizations to do this work. And what's been awesome is Epiphany has been a partner in that over the last several years. So yeah, we're just excited to continue that and look for other ways to engage together because Scott, as you mentioned, like the suburbs are changing and the people who live in poverty who are moving in the suburbs is not like reducing, it's not diminishing. So there's, yeah, our city's just in the midst of transforming as like several other cities are. And so, yeah, we just so appreciate the opportunity to partner together to do this work.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much. And thank both of you. Thank you, Judy, for inspiring Epiphany to get even more plugged in and ask questions and see what they can do to help, whether it's volunteering time or donating things. But I hope that this will be a partnership for many years now, that we'll get ourselves through this pandemic and be able to offer even more help even after that. So thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. And thank you, Judy.